but we shouldn't be a broke people either. You understand what I'm saying? So financially, one of the things here is we don't play no money games. We're not into any of that. Giving is a part of your faith, meaning you're not going to be in any relationship and people don't expect you to give at all. Like even God, I'm marveled at, I've never taught on this in 15 years, but I'm marveled at the fact that God requires an offering. He requires an offering. I marvel at that every time I think about that this big God that we serve, that he instructed people to bring him blood and put it as an offering on the altar. Like he requires a sacrifice. But we because of the subject I'm talking about today, I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on this. So they said we need 71 more. So Tuesday we got to take $1.1 million to the closing table. That's just the down payment to put down on this building. So this just to get chairs in the building. This ain't the $3 million we need to furnish and to put carpet, to get audio, to do everything. So you know where your giving is going. So tell your neighbor, don't trip up in here. So we're not going to do these. We're not going to play no money games. We're going to tell you what it is. You do your part, and you ask the Lord to increase your seed. And so you have to remember, the Lord will meet you where your desires are. But if you don't have a desire to give, he does not necessarily have to have a demand to increase you. Because if all of your increase is for you, why does the Lord need to increase you? You got enough shoes. How many of y'all got more than 5 pair of shoes? Look at all these liars, ain't saying nothing. More like 500, Pastor. Them people had the same shoes for 40 years, and he just kept replenishing the soles on them over there when they was going over to Canaan land. So, again, you got to bring your portion back to the house of the Lord. I'll deal with all that later. We believe in tithing here. It's scriptural. I hate when people teach against tithing because it's bad teaching. You cheat God's people. You get them out of the kingdom system. It bothers me to no end. And there's so many people that it's doctrine is very good. Doctrine is hard to come by in America nowadays. There's so much bad teaching out here. And people gravitate to it because it releases them from obedience. It gives you no accountability. And so we have financial classes here for you to get your money right. Some of you I can't give you a heart. I can give you the knowledge. I can't give you the heart to do the right thing. Like you gotta work on obeying God. And so they got on the screen how you can give. These are all the digital ways you can give. If you're in person, there's some in the back of your seat. If you're online, but we need millions. We're not a $100,000 ministry anymore. We've been past that. We're going to a 4th campus. We're in uncharted territories. We're in uncharted territories for our city and our state. And again, we're not in a race against anybody or anything else. We have our own assignment here, and it's to take over a state, which we're going to do. Are y'all hearing me? So I need everybody to be big in their finances. The governors, when I meet with the governor, I'm talking about programs that will benefit our community. So when he calls me in those meetings, and there's 4 of us in those meetings, I talk to him about programs that's needed to benefit our communities. But you can't get a seat at the table if you're not doing anything that's worth him calling you to the table. So as we continue to expand, it gives us what we call influence. And that influence goes a long way. What you don't understand is your $100, your $1,000, your $10,000, whatever you're giving, it's increasing the influence that we have that also helps everybody in the city and in the community when I get to go sit at that table. You don't understand the programs that I'm working behind the scenes to get for our youth. And so all of this stuff is playing a part. Your giving plays a part in the souls. It plays a part in the community. I called my girl over at the clinic, the abortion clinic, because she's been going through it, and I'm waiting for her to call me back because we haven't sent our seed over for this year yet. That clinic doesn't stay open without donations. So her budget, I want to get to the place where I can at least fund at least a tithe of her budget every year. Her budget is $500,000 to $600,000 a year, and I'm believing the Lord that one day that we'll be able to give her a tithe of her budget every single year, because she keeps those girls from aborting those babies. And so she sends those pictures over of those babies that would have never been born if her clinic wasn't open. And when I see those pictures of those babies, I'm thankful that we give to her clinic every single year. Yeah, absolutely. So anyway, so give, learn the tithe, and get in God's system. So I want to start a new series today, and it'll make some sense when I get to whatever scriptures that I'm going to get to. So you have to remember, we're a teaching ministry. When I get to starting on these series, it starts out sometimes, I don't want to use the word slow, but you have to lay a foundation. So it's your foundational teaching. So I'm not going to start out up here, because I'll be teaching on this for weeks or months, or until the Lord releases me to stop teaching on it. So if for those of you that are visiting today, I want to welcome you for being here as a visitor. The people that are non-visitors, they're going to be here all year, because they have committed to being loyal for at least 1 year to their pastor. So the people that are members, you're going to see them all year. So just look around and say, I'm going to be happy sharing the rest of the year with you here. Yeah. So you're not going to be petty. You're not going to get offended. And I know you're going to be here through December 31st, and then you'll wait for me to give you a chance to de-enlist or de-enroll or unenlist or unenroll yourself in January of next year. Amen, somebody. Amen. So I want to start this series called Standing on Business. So America is $36 trillion in debt. 36 trillion with a T. Good to see you, sir. 36 trillion with a T in debt. 36 what? Trillion. And you tripping off your thousands. Most of y'all in here, majority of y'all in here, nobody in here is really $1 million in debt. Let's be honest. Most of y'all not. Majority of y'all in here that got debt is thousands. America is trillions of dollars in debt. We're going into what many would consider an unstable time because of leadership that is coming from the White House. It's been unstable for years. You know, Trump is just heightening the unstableness. But I want to assure you of something in this series that we're getting ready to teach, is that what has been going on in the White House for centuries now, or for at least for the last century, while it does have some effect on you, ultimately it doesn't decide your economy, because you've switched economies when you got born again. So we're going to be talking about the next couple of weeks standing on business and what needs to happen so that no matter what happens in the White House, it doesn't affect what happens in your house moving forward. Are y'all following me? Because some of you, you're waiting on the government to sign a bill. You're waiting on the government to release a check. Some of y'all, I mean, let's be honest. If that tax return don't come soon, you might get evicted. And that is not God's best for your life. And I've been prophesying for the last 10, 12 years about what needs to happen financially in our communities and with us as individuals, so that we are not facing financial famine regardless of what's going on in politics or the White House. Meaning nobody in here should be facing financial famine. But this is the reality of what's going on. I've been teaching this, prophesying this for 10, 12, 15 years, but people aren't listening. And this is the challenge of what's going on. If you do not get yourself financially aware, stable, I'm talking about right now. I'm talking about right now is really already behind. But if you don't get yourself financially stable, like right now, in the next 10 years, you'll be modern day slaves. With the way that inflation is going, with the way that the economy is going. So I got one house that I brought. My first house I brought when I was 21. I think I paid maybe $100,000 for the house. It's a little 1,300 square foot house, 4-bedroom, 2-bath, over by Lakeside. I think maybe I paid 100, maybe 105 at the most. That house is now, in 20 years, that house is now worth $300,000, $320,000. It's tripled in value in 20 years. But in 20 years, most of your incomes have not tripled. The cost of everything is going up. Bubble gum is going up. Food is going up. No, I mean, come on. I mean, let's be honest. No, everything is going up. I went, you know, I've been on this whole health conscious thing, and I've been trying to eat healthy or whatever, because I got to go back to the doctor in like 3 weeks. And y'all ain't right. Y'all ain't right tight. Same thing. Yeah. At least I'm trying. Some of y'all just going there with your belly still out, just like. At least I'm trying. So, because he's not putting me on no medicine. I'm not going on no medication. I can tell you that right now. Under no circumstances, I'm not doing it. So you know, so I've been on my health conscious thing. So in the last like 4 or 5 weeks, I'm talking about working out 5 days a week. Yeah. Shh. Don't. So, you know, so working out and so forth. So I've only had like 5 desserts in 5 weeks. Oh, that's good for me. That's good for me. Like, so, you know, so I got to cut back on the baked goods, because every now and then, you know, I like to sneak a cookie or whatever. So I went to this, I don't even know what the place was. I just knew it was healthy. I hadn't been there in years. So I was getting ready, so I stopped to get something to eat for lunch in Mezza or something. I don't know what it's called, whatever, Mezza. And so it's supposed to be healthy, Mediterranean food. They said Mediterranean, good for your diet, whatever. So I said, I'm going to go and measure this today and try to keep this heart pumping and get this doctor off my case. So I go up in there, you know, and I'm looking at the food, and I'm like, this is not really my flow. You understand what I'm saying? It's Mediterranean food, you know, chickpeas and peppers inside of everything, and, you know, just all, you know. Anyway, so, you know, but my body like, this what you gonna do, you know, this what you need to do, or at least my mind was like, this what you need to do. My body was like, go somewhere else. My mind was like, no, this what you. So I get a little chicken wrap. I get a little chicken wrap, and then I have to pick the peppers out because I ain't want them in there. I get a side of rice. I get a bottle of water, and then I kind of messed up a little bit because they had a hot cookie back there, and so I was struggling, but it was hot out the oven. And so I was like, Lord, have mercy. Like, just, you know. And so that food was $27. $27 for my lunch. One person. That was for my lunch. Now, the challenge with that is, let's just say you make, let's use some round numbers. Let's just say you make $100,000 a year. So no matter how much you make, it's, even if you're not an hourly employee, you still make a certain amount per hour, even if you're on salary. You can try to be deep, like, oh no, I'm salary. You still exchanging your time for a certain amount of money per hour. So if you make $50,000 an hour, you make $24.06 an hour. If you make $75 an hour, you make $36 an hour. If you make $100,000, it goes up to about $48 an hour. So your time is worth $50 an hour, roughly. But think about this for a second. So I spent $27 at there. I went and got an omelet from some diner last week. So I went and looked at my bills and what I was spending, or I went and looked at my, you know, what I was spending, because I'm going to teach this series, Standing on Business. It's going to make a lot of sense once I get going. But what I'm going to do over these next couple of weeks, the next couple of months, is I'm going to get everybody out of debt if you can listen. Are y'all following me? I'm going to get all y'all out of debt. That's good for the 5 of y'all. That the rest of y'all stay in debt then. Stay in debt. It's good for the 5 of y'all. 5 of y'all are like, oh, The rest of y'all like, my daddy ain't going nowhere. Terrible, terrible. So anyway, so I went one place. I got an omelet for $27 left. No, I'm lying. Hold on. I got an omelet that was $17. But watch this now. So now my tips are no less than 30% now when I go out to eat. So I got an omelet for $17, but I gave the girl a $20 tip on a $17 omelet. So my bill was $37. So watch this now. If I make $100,000 a year, we're just going to use round numbers for everybody. Watch this. 20% of that 100,000 is what? 20,000. See, we got a long way to go in this class. That's why some of y'all, that's why you're struggling now. If you can't do that kind of basic math, I'm telling you as your pastor right now, and I'm not playing no games. I expect every last one of y'all to go buy a calculator this week that couldn't answer that within 2 seconds. No, I'm not joking. I'm being so serious right now because I'm trying to get you somewhere, but you can't get somewhere if you can't do math. So if you can't do math, don't pretend you can do it. Go get you a calculator. So if you make $100,000 a year, 20% of that, 10% is going to be $10,000. So we know 20% is going to be $20,000. But the numbers just, if you do it, so 2% of $100,000 will be $2,000. But watch this now. If we go down to the next lowest percentage, we got 0.2%. Because if we go from 2% to 0.2%, so 0.2% of 100,000 is going to be what? $200. Just stick with me real quick, and then I'm gonna give you the scriptures and all of that. Now watch this now. That's $200. 0.2%. Don't sound like a lot. But watch this now. If I make $100,000 and I think I'm getting it, and I just go out and I keep spending this 0.2%, if I do that 5 times, how much have I spent? $1,000. But watch this. I've spent 1% of my income for the year. So when you don't know what you make per hour and you spend like you make more than what you actually make per hour, you always going to be in debt. Some of you can't afford to eat at the places you eat. Everybody all right? Ask your neighbor, how long are you going to be on this series? Some of you can't afford $25 and $30 lunches. You see, it sounds like, oh, I make 6 figures. I can go spend $200. I can go, you go out to dinner 5 times and you spend 1 whole percent. Now, you said, Pastor, what's the big deal about that? The big deal about it is the government already taking 25, 30% of what you got. So you're down to 70%. If God is a priority and you really love him, you done gave him 10, so you're down to 60%. So everybody in here, really, you only got 60% of your income to live off of. Ask your neighbor, did you know that? Watch this now, because I got so much to teach. I really got like 5 months worth of teaching just right here. So watch this. So this is the thing. So what I'm going to teach you over the next couple of however long I'm teaching, go over to Proverbs 22:7 real quick. What I'm going to teach you over the next couple of however weeks or months that I'm going to teach you, we're going to talk about the practical side of money, the prophetic side of money, the psychology of money, the purpose of money, and the pursuit of money. Did y'all catch that? Okay, so I'm back in my teaching mode. Yeah, okay, all right. I mean, I know how to teach a little bit. Okay, so we're going to talk about the practical side of money, the prophetic side of money. So today we just opening up our series. We just talking about some practical stuff that you're going to need to know because I want to Pastor, why are you teaching on this? Because the Lord has instructed me. If you don't get your finances right today, you're going to end up being a slave tomorrow. Did y'all hear what I just said? Then, okay, all right. Just let me backtrack all the way because I might be hitting y'all too hard, too fast. Okay, so I'm going to be 50 soon. And I'm thinking to myself, How long do I want to keep working like a Hebrew slave? But let me ask y'all this. Okay, what age can you retire at? Here we go. 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 She said 67. Somebody that said 65. You can retire tomorrow if I give you enough money. Tell your neighbor, you're going to have to shift your thinking. Watch this. We have programmed ourselves to Pharaoh's system that you work till you're 60-something years old so you can enjoy the last 5 or 10 years of your life and die after you've slaved for 50-something years. Where do you find that in your Bible? But watch this. If that is your programming mentally, psychologically, you will never outdo that system that you've submitted yourself and your belief to, that I got to work until I'm 60-something years old before I can ever retire. You'll never be able to do your passions the way you want or fulfill your passion of what you've been called to do. Resources are a vital part of life. We cannot get around the fact that you need resources for everything. You need money for everything. You're not going to be able to get around that. But watch this. The enemy knows that. So the enemy tries to plug us into a system that does not benefit us as believers. Where, watch this, where we slave to build something that's not the kingdom of God. We do it for 40 plus years, and then they say we'll give you a little bit of a breather and a break on your tail end because your productivity is not where it needs to be, so you can go on and rest. We won't make you lift these bricks much longer. But I'm asking myself, honestly, because I'm like, okay, I'm almost 50. I know what their system says for me retiring, but I'm like, I want to spend the rest of my life doing what I love without having to think about the financial piece of my life and spending my whole life in the pursuit of something that you can never catch. You ain't called a dollar yet. You working for one, but you can't take it with you. So watch this. He says the rich does what? That means lord over, has dominion over the poor. The rich will always have dominion over the poor, and the bar is always going to be what? It's going to be what? Servant. We are not called to be servants. We are called to be sons, which means we're not supposed to be poor. That's scripture. Yes, sir. So watch this. If you're not going to be poor, you're going to have a financial IQ. You're going to have to get on top of your finances. I'm going to show it to you because we're going to talk about the prophetical side. The prophetical side, y'all will enjoy that way better because some of y'all don't want to do the practical work. But this is the problem. So even if you go win the lottery, 2 out of 3 lottery winners are broke within 10 years. They're broke. So even if I teach you prophetically how to get some more money, I'm talking about spiritually. Now, I can talk to you about spiritually how to prophetically pray, and God won't withhold anything from those that walk upright. And just go into a whole prophetic prayer about increase. Meaning we can do that right now. And watch this. Some checks might show up that you didn't expect. But if you don't know what to do with the unexpected check, you're going to be right back where you started before you prayed the prophetical prayers. So watch this now. He says the rich will always lord over the poor. So you, watch this. The Bible says that the poor will always be amongst us. He never said that it should be us. We're supposed to be the blessed. We're supposed to be the giver. We're supposed to be the lender and not the borrower. So we know that the poor ain't supposed to be us. But if you don't get on top of managing this whole financial, so the debt in the United States has doubled in size over the last 15 years. We've talked about, Pastor, what are you talking about? I'm talking about, I'm going to show it to you inside. Go over to Luke 19. I'm talking about standing on business so that you can have financial freedom moving forward in your life, so your life is not predicated upon money for the rest of your life. Now, let me ask y'all this, all jokes aside. How many of you in here, if it wasn't for finances, you would be doing something different than what you're currently doing? How many of you in here, you're doing what you love or you're doing what you're supposed to be doing? So it's about a third and a third, and the rest of y'all are undecided? Do you know when them kids go to college? Do you know most of the time when they get out, nowadays they don't even follow what they went to school for? They end up at the first person that give them the most money or give them a job. Watch this. We're gonna walk through all of this. Okay, so he says, as they have heard these things, he spoke another parable because he was near Jerusalem and because he thought that the kingdom of God would appear immediately. Go ahead. Therefore, he said, a certain nobleman went into a far country to receive himself a what? A kingdom, and do what? Okay. A kingdom and do what? Okay, go ahead. He called 10 of his servants. He delivered unto them 10 minas, and he said to them, do what? Do what? Do what? This is a parable, an example of Jesus being king. Says he came, he going to deliver some resources unto his people. But watch this. He going to come back to see how well they did with what he delivered. This is for all of us. This is for you. We're going to come back to this scripture next week for time's sake, just so I can give you something this week. Listen. Most of y'all in here, unless you're a visitor, you said I was your pastor last week. And I'm going to be your pastor for the next year all the way to December 31st of 2025, because we made that agreement that you're going to be loyal for at least 1 year before you can de-enlist yourself. So watch this. I know, like I know my name, that this is what I'm supposed to be talking to you about. And if you don't want to end up in Pharaoh's line for porridge in the next 10 or 15 years, you're going to have to get a handle on what I'm teaching you and get yourself together and get your finances in order immediately. This is not a game with where this economy is going, with where things are happening, the trends that are taking place in the economy. You're going to have to learn how to own assets and not have a bunch of liabilities. You're going to have to learn we are the number one consumer in the world. You're going to have to learn how to stop consuming, and you're going to have to learn how to own something going forward. You cannot keep working. The pay is not keeping up with the cost of things in society. They told me eggs, $7, $9 for eggs. When I was growing up, everybody had a farm and had chickens running around. Ain't none of y'all got no chickens nowhere. $9 and y'all ain't got no chickens to hatch no eggs. Watch this. But if I make $50,000 a year and I make $24.06 an hour and I got to pay $9 for eggs, I just spent 40% of 1 hour of my income on buying my family eggs. Y'all ain't listening. Y'all ain't listening. Watch this. He said, do business till I come. One translation said, occupy till I come, but that do business is what it means. Watch this. When it translates just into that. Do business. Watch this. One Hebrew translation translates almost as if, be a banker until I come back. Did y'all catch that? Tell your neighbor I got another profession. I've just been called to be a banker until Jesus comes back. Actually, other neighbor, how well you been doing so far? Watch this now. Watch this. So just let me give you some just to get us going in the series, just for some fun. I got stuff for months to teach on. We're not going to go, next week we're going to dig into Matthew 19 all the way. Meaning we'll dig in all the way. So we're going to talk about the practical side of money, the prophetical side, the psychological side, the purpose of it, and the pursuit of it. So let's talk about this. Let's talk about some money traps this morning, just to give you something as we move in this series, Standing on Business. So you're going to have to be a banker moving forward, which means you're going to have to manage money well. I had to go down to Norfolk, Hampton yesterday for basketball for my son. And I went to the register, and they ain't have nothing good to eat. Everything was fried food. So I was hungry. I knew I couldn't leave because it was getting ready to start. So I was like, okay. So the only thing I'm going to be able to get is some French fries. So I knew it was going to be a problem, but because I was in line, I was watching her the whole time. And the girl that was behind the register, she couldn't count. No, she couldn't. Not being mean, not being funny. She couldn't do math. She could not count. She was struggling with every customer. But she was in charge, and she was going to let you know she was in charge. But the one that was in charge couldn't count. Shouldn't have been in charge. And so I went up there, and for the water, you had to pay cash. So everything else, I believe that was her personal stash, and then she must have working for somebody else because the food you could use your credit card, but for the water only you had to pay cash. And I saw she had like a little side bag for that water. I said, So anyway, so I get up there for the water, and so I get the water and the French fries or whatever, and she give me back $14 and a whole bunch of change. And I look at the receipt though. The receipt says I was supposed to get back $16. And so when I tried to bring it to her attention, she argued me down. I said, ma'am, this is how much you gave me back. I said, you gave me back $14 and all of this jing-a-ling-a-ling-a-ling I got right here. I said, this is what you just gave me. I said, if you look at this receipt, I'm missing some money. No, I'm not. And she took the money out of my hand. This is, and she was trying to explain, and she couldn't count. But some of you, you're trying to live, and you can't count. And it's hurting you. It's killing you. In most people are only working to get to the next day and just to have enough just to feel good about their labor. I wrote something down. Anyway, let me get into some of these, and then we'll dig deeper. I wrote down a profound statement that I wanted to. I think I said it this way. You cannot have what you cannot master. If you cannot master money, you'll never have a lot of it. You have to master money. And so we're going to talk about that for the next couple of months, or however long. We're going to talk about the psychology of it. We're going to talk about all of that. So watch this now. Let's just talk about some money traps. Money traps real quick. So impulse spending. That's a money trap. You just splurging. You just out here. You have no. I tell you what. Go over to I ain't gonna have time to go all the way there, but go over to Proverbs 21:5 real quick. Go over to Proverbs 21:5 and just let me talk to them real quick about this. So let's just talk about some of these money traps. You just spend when you want to, and you act like you got a blank checkbook, and you don't have no type of budget whatsoever, and you just out here spending like you're gonna be able to work forever. What I want to do going forward in this ministry is I want to teach my teenagers to financially position themselves that by 30, they'll be able to decide what they want to do for the rest of their lives. If your teenagers save from the time they're 15 to 30 and invest their money properly, by the time they're 30, they should never be a slave to anybody ever moving forward if we teach our kids how to manage money from the time they're 15 to they're 30. There's no way. How many of y'all in here have been working more than 20 years? And watch this. You've been working more than 20 years. Everybody in here should have at least $20,000. $1,000 a year. You mean tell me you've been working for 20 years and you can't go get $20,000 today? Or lay your hands on $20,000? And see, that's what I've been telling y'all for the last 3 years. I said, I want you to save. You won't start by just saving $1,000, but I want you to save $5,000. I've been telling y'all that for the last 3-4 years. Save at least $5,000. How do you work and can't get your hands on anything unless you got a hole in your money bag or unless Pharaoh has become your master? That don't even make sense. No, in some of you keep cheating yourselves. How do you keep working and not paying yourself so you can get out of the hands of the enemy? Is this making any sense? Y'all are a quiet church. Y'all not bleeding on me in these seats, are y'all? Okay, so impulse spending. I told y'all when I was 21 making $125,000 working at the bank, we was getting high on lunch break. Me and probably 3-4 of the other guys. We would go and we get high on that lunch break. And so I was topping sales. And so one day we got so high, I came up with a bright idea. I said, I'm gonna just go buy a car. I mean, we high. Let's just enjoy this high. Let's do something. You know, let's do something other than get high. And so they said, all right. And long as somebody got the weed, everybody gonna ride with you. You understand what I'm saying? So we ride down to Virginia Beach, and I brought my first vehicle. It was like $55,000, $60,000. I bought a Tahoe, and that payment was. I felt like I had that payment until Jesus was gonna return. And then y'all ever brought something and you felt like you were going to have to pay for it until Jesus or death came and got you one? Like this payment, it ain't going nowhere. It ain't budging. It just don't look like it's going to move. So we're going to talk about all of this, just accumulating interest, all of this. If you go buy a $60,000 vehicle, right now, depending on the interest rates, you're going to end up paying anywhere from $12,000 to $14,000 in interest over the time that you finish paying for the vehicle over a 60-month period. So we're just talking right now. So watch this now. You think you're paying $60,000 for the vehicle, but that ain't true. You're not a banker. You're not doing business. You don't know the bottom line. You're not paying $60,000 for the vehicle. You're borrowing money. You're paying $74,000 for the vehicle. You're paying $3,000 a year in interest. So $250 of everything you're paying every month is going to the person that's loaning you the money. And you just told me eggs was $9. Watch this. So the goal is to not always be on the borrowing side. Are y'all hearing me? So watch this now. He says the plans of the diligent surely lead to what? Surely lead to what? Okay, so you're going to have plans. Next week, I'm going to talk about the practical side again before we get into the psychology of it, the prophetic side. We just talk about the practical side. So that means you got to have a budget. Next week, we'll talk about some of what that looks like. I'm just talking about money traps today. So holidays is a money trap. Holidays. Take your time on that and look at your neighbor and say, are you celebrating anything this month? January is New Year's, so if you ain't in church, you're at the New Year's party. So you're buying clothes for a New Year's party, trying to be fly, trying to impress some people that don't care nothing about you, and you probably ain't going to see the rest of the year. By the time you get to February, you got Valentine's Day, so they're making you spend money on on that just to tell somebody you love them, what you should have been telling them every day for the last 355 days. And then if you don't do it, you might not get none for the next 3 weeks. So you got to spend something. He ain't lying. Actually, tell your neighbor, he ain't lying. Don't get her something if you want to. Don't get her something if you want to. Put the lock on it like it's padlock. So they didn't trick you into spending money on Valentine's Day just so you can prove you love somebody. We got April is Easter. I'm so glad I ain't got no yellow suits. We don't make y'all wear yellow suits around here. Y'all would have went and brought your all white, all yellow suit. Wouldn't have gave nothing in the offering that day just so you could say you came to church. And there go $80, $90, $100 right there that you spend just to show up for Easter, knowing you ain't come back half for the rest of the year. May is Mother's Day. You know you got to get your mother something. Why? Because they called it Mother's Day. Am I lying about any of this? All of these are traps. I'm not telling you don't celebrate Mother's Day. I ain't telling you don't celebrate Valentine's Day. We already know y'all ain't encouraged to celebrate Father's Day. We already know there ain't no whole bunch of money movement on Father's Day. Ain't number sock money moving on Father's Day. We already know that. Daddy, here go your $20 card and your socks. Amen, somebody. So June is a break for most of you. July 4th, you're going to the cookout. You're either paying for the food for the cookout, or you're paying to go to a cookout, or you're paying to go on vacation, or you're paying to buy the clothes to go to the cookout. All these months, every month. Christmas, then you got Christmas. You got Thanksgiving. You got to get the turkey. You don't even know who the Pilgrims was or where they landed. You just know they just told you it was Thanksgiving Day, and that just means there's more money, and you just celebrating spending more money because they said it was Thanksgiving. We supposed to be thankful. Let's just eat. Am I telling the truth? You watching TV, you thinking TV is for entertainment, and you don't know that every time you cut your TV on. Watch this. She says electric bill. I didn't even think about that. You right about that? Cut that electricity off in my house. Cut that electricity off. Watch this. You don't know that TV, you thinking it's for entertainment, but it's really for psychology. It's really selling you something the entire time. And every time you cut it on, somebody's getting paid but you. Every time you cut your TV on, somebody's getting a paycheck, everybody but you. And you just sitting there in a daze, entertained. Girl, don't go in there. Don't go in the room. Don't go in the room. You ain't made no more money. You still at $24 an hour with them $9 eggs, and you talking about don't go in no room. Tell your neighbor, I'm about to wake up, become a banker, and get out of debt. I just got so much to teach. So watch this now. High interest rate loans. We're just talking about money traps. I mean, I got 100 of them here. We're just talking about all these money traps. High interest rate loans. I went in the bank. We went and bought a van for the church, and so I didn't want to go to our banker because we're in the middle of this purchase. So I ain't want him in all our business. He already know too much. You understand what I'm saying? Like I didn't want him in everything. You understand what I'm saying? So because again, if you let them into everything, they think they can control you. You just need to know enough. You need to know we got enough money to do what we're doing, and you just keep being my main guy, my main banker. But if you let them into everything, then they start telling you, no, you can't go by that. No, you can't. Watch this. You're not my source. I'm the banker. I know you are a banker, but I got the banker instructing me on how to be a banker for him. So anyway, so we had to go buy a van. So we went in nice van if y'all ain't seen it. So we went to go buy the van. So this is the first van we got a loan on this one. And so I went in there, and I didn't want to be bothered with a whole bunch of paperwork. So I called the guy. So I told him, I said, look, I said, I want to come get a van. And I said, I don't want a whole bunch of foolishness going on. I just want to get in and get out. And I said, I'm not going to pay cash for this one. And so he said, okay. So he sent me something by email. Took me 5 minutes to fill it out. I filled it out, went down there, and got the van. But when I sat down with the finance manager, he tried to play me like I didn't have a financial IQ. And so I wanted to let him know, don't confuse me signing these documents with me not understanding what's going on right here. Don't confuse the two. But I got the loan because I knew my thing is we ain't going to have the loan more than a year. We're going to pay it off, so we're not going to get stuck with all this interest. So when we sat down and stuff, because I asked them, because what they'll do to you, and I'm talking about high interest rates, so your credit card is 18%. But what I asked them was, I said, because what they'll do is they'll show you the payment, and as long as you can handle the payment, you ain't looking at the big term picture. That's being a poor banker. That's a poor steward. You ain't looking at the big term picture. And so I asked him what the interest rate was, and he said, I think he said 9%. I said 9%, because I could have went to Air Banker and probably got 5 or 6. But I didn't want to go to Air Banker because I ain't want them in my business. But that's the only thing y'all gonna remember anyway. So I ain't want them in my business. So I went on and signed it, but I told him, I said, this interest rate too high, right? And he tried to overtalk me and skip over it like I ain't say nothing. And I said, okay. I said, don't worry about it. I said, I don't know if I'm gonna come back here again. But I said, because I want you to acknowledge that I'm talking to you and I have an IQ. But he just trying to sell something, and he pushing debt on you. But watch this. Anytime you have debt on you, you have control over you. Did I lose y'all? Debt is control. And when you don't, as long as you're in it, watch this, you're always going to be slave to the lender. And you got to get out from under this control. I'm talking about having financial freedom. I'm talking about we get ready to stand on business. Everybody in here is going to develop a financial IQ. If you ain't going to be able to do math fast, then you're going to get you a calculator, or you're going to use your cell phone, and you're going to learn how to start having a financial IQ. So what you're going to do is you're going to go home, and you're going to start gathering all your assets, your liabilities, your bills. What's the text word for my form that I got for them today? Somebody tell me what the text word is. I got a form for y'all, and I'm gonna teach you next week how to budget so you can start getting out of debt. What's the somebody let me know. Let them know, or let me know. I got a form that I'm gonna give y'all that you're gonna be able to text and you can print it out. It's a form on how to budget. I'm gonna show you next week spiritually how I got out of debt, how I got $100,000 out of debt, how I got into the million flow. We're going to talk about this because you can't keep living the way you're living and thinking 5, 10, 15 years everything going to be all right. It costs $400,000 for a house. You have to make if you want to be very technical about it, you really need to make almost $130,000 a year to get a basic house in America now. Did y'all hear what I just said? I'm talking about just to get a $400,000 house, which is the average house price range. Now, if you ain't living somewhere where where it might be some crime, I'm being serious. It's $400,000 for a house now. It's text the word budget to our 888-298-7740, and you'll have a spreadsheet that you can print out so you can start learning how to budget. I refuse to be your pastor and to watch you keep being a slave to the lender, knowing that that's not God's best for you. So you can come in here and look like, I ain't never heard no pastor teach on this, or why he teach on this, because I'm hearing from the Lord. How you going to serve God freely and come in here and worship freely, and you got all that debt on you like that when you've been working? How long do you work before you get free? I'm telling y'all right now, I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing, Pastor. I love what I do. But I'm talking about, I told this to my kids. I know we got to get ready to go. I ain't getting nowhere today the way I wanted to. But it's going to pick up next week. Tell your neighbor, he's going to be better next week. Look at your other neighbor. Say, I'm here for a year, so he better be good every week. I tried to explain to my son, this is what your kids don't understand. Y'all, how many of y'all got kids? Okay, listen to this real quick. This is what your kids don't understand. Every time you give to your kids, what did I just say? The Lord gave me this probably about 2-3 months ago. I don't remember what it was or what he did or whatever, but the Lord, gave this to me. You're giving from your life, you're giving from your labor, and you're giving from your love. Because watch this. Every time you give them something, I'm talking about physically or financially, watch this. You're giving part of your life because you worked for that income, and now you're taking it and you're giving it to them. So every time you give to your children, you're giving them part of your life because you worked for that increase. You worked for that income. So you're giving so they don't understand. They just take it and they treat us any kind of way, but they don't understand. I might have lost some time off my life providing for you. Not that you're not supposed to, because some of y'all will go home and you're killing me in my life. You're taking all of my life. But they need to understand that no, this is coming from work and labor. Every time I sow into your life, it's taking something away from mine. It's coming from your labor. You're working from it. And it's coming because I love you. But when you don't have a revelation of that, they won't appreciate what you do for them. They got to understand every time I'm providing for you, I'm getting a day older every time I provide for you. And if you love me, watch this, learn to appreciate what people are doing for you. When people give to you, it's taking away from them. Now, granted, God, we know that seed sown is seed multiplied, but I'm talking about there was something that went into that every time somebody sows. That's why God rewards those that give, because he understands that there's a sacrifice involved in your sowing. So that's why he says, I'll multiply what you sow, because there was a sacrifice involved in it. Am I losing y'all? Okay. So anyway, next week we're going to go over, and I'm going to talk to you about, we're going to be talking about how to get out of debt. So we're going to talk about this practical, prophetic, psychological. So the practical is how well do I understand money? The prophetic is how well do I attract it? The psychology is how do I think about it? The purpose of it is what do I do with it? And then the pursuit of it. So we're going to talk about all of that. We're going to talk about how well do you understand it? How well do you attract it? How do you see money or think about money? What do you do with money? How well do you understand it? We're going to talk about the 3 S's of supernatural debt deliverance. We're going to talk about saving, sowing, and seeding. We got a couple of weeks and a couple of months left. You got to get out of debt. The car that I want, I've been looking for cars for the last couple of years, and I got a 2015 vehicle paid off, and I'm just chilling. But I'm spending too much money in repairs now. Like when you get to the point where you're spending more on repairs than a car payment, it's time to get a new car. You understand what I'm saying? I know we got to go. Y'all just give me 2 minutes. Let me tell them this. There's a lot of nosy folk, and I just feel like, anyway. So the car that I want, I've been looking. So the car that I'm talking about the desires of my heart. Watch this. It's about $160,000. Yeah. I'm allowed to want things. What's wrong with you? You want things. I ain't got to do with how much what you want. I'm allowed to want what I want. Watch this. No, you can't put a cap on my desires. You do. I'll preach that later. Watch this. The car that I really could live with is probably about 90 to 100. The car that watch this, because of the season that I know that we're in, and the Lord has been ministering to me about not working forever and having assets to pay for every liability I have, the car I'm probably going to get is probably going to be $60,000. Can I afford a $160,000 car? I can. And it ain't what you're giving. Take your time on that one. It ain't what you giving. I got assets. Watch this. No, I got assets. I got cash flow. But I don't want to, watch this. I don't want to work forever. I want to be free. I want any day of the week, I want to be able to do whatever God is telling me to do without feeling like I'm constricted to when I can go, when I can do it, how I can do it, who I can do it with. And I don't want to wait till y'all told me I had to be 65 or 67 to do it. Amen, somebody. So we're going to get your money flowing properly, and we're going to start standing on business in everything you do going forward. If you're in here today and you're not born again, you haven't made Jesus Lord over your life. You haven't made Jesus Lord. If you die, are you going to heaven or hell? If you die, are you going to heaven or hell? If you're not sure about that, you got to make things right with God today. Don't you leave up out of here living foul, living any kind of way, living reckless. Don't make me call out a list of sins. You can go over to Romans chapter 1. You can read all that. You can go over to Galatians. You can read all that. You can read all the things that's going to send you to hell. But you know if you're all the way in or not. God doesn't do lukewarm. He's going to spit you out. You don't want to come to the gates. And then he tells you, I don't know who you are. You say, but I pray. And he says, yeah, but you didn't live for me.